there in YouTube land.
Welcome back.
Today we're going to talk about one of our favorite snowstorm movies.
Yeah, since we're still in the winter theme, and that is from one of our favorite authors.
So this is Stephen King's Storm of the Century.
So Storm of the Century kind of starts with just this little island town off of the coast of Maine, Massachusetts, kind of...
New England.
Yeah. And it's just, they're preparing for what they would, usually prepare for a nor'easter.
Yeah.
And having lived up there for several years of my life, nor'easters are no joke.
No.
They will dump snow, they will be frigidly cold. So it goes through and you see kind of, the characters are introduced as upstanding, kind of in charge of the town. There's little old ladies, there's,
it's the usual small town.
And then the storm hits.
Yes.
And the weird starts.
And the ugliness starts.
Because true to King's every character, there's an understory to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's... I think it starts, with the murder.
Yes.
Of an elderly lady.
Mm-hmm.
And they come across that.
And there's this big mystery as to who killed the lady.
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes apparent there's a stranger in town.
There's a stranger in town, and he's a bit odd.
Yeah, just a tad.
He's just a little bit. I've never, ever been able to listen to the Teapot song, though. After this movie, it always brings me straight back to it. But they arrest this person, and they take him to the jail, which is oddly behind a part of the convenience store. So, small town, whatever.
But the stranger's name is Andre Lenoge, I think.
Yeah, Lenoge.
Yeah. And he is one of the most powerful villains, I think, that's been in a film.
He's, I think, reported as demonic, but he also has fangs. He's a little bit wolfish.
And later in the movie, a spoiler alert here, if you want to, skip over this part of the video, but Lenoge is an anagram for Legion.
Yes, Legion. And basically it follows kind of the sheriff of this little island community figuring stuff out, but Lenoge kind of reveals what he's done in the past as the movie goes on, and anybody who's interested in the lost colony of Roanoke, apparently Lenoge visited Roanoke.
Yes.
And they disappeared. That's because his motive, if they don't give him what he wants, then they're all going to die. Period. And they see that. They dream it.
Yes. And what's cool about this one, which, gives me chills more than, other things, the fact that they give him what he wants.
Yes. And you get into the underlying human nature, because as you go through everything, each person that has kind of their dark secrets, they have to kind of see that secret, and they have it revealed, and there's murder along the way.
And come to terms with the badness that they have done.
Yeah, because not a one of these characters is truly innocent in any way. And these aren't, small crimes. These are...
major things.
Major things. They hit on a lot of major topics. But they give him what he wants in the end. So they make a literal deal with
the devil,
with
so
Legion.
to speak. When I first saw the movie, the interesting thing about it for me was that there was still, in my mind, enough that kind of also leads you to kind of hinting that he's some sort of vampiric creature also, because he is shown to feed.
Right.
And, of course, the fangs and stuff, and granted, demons and terms of like folklore and stuff, do have fangs and whatnot. There's just kind of this vampiric feeling about him, as well as the fact that he's a demon and a sorcerer. So Linoge is interesting because you're never quite exactly sure which face you're talking to.
You're not sure what face you're talking to, and me personally, I mean, you got the initial, like, ooh, that's...
Mm-hmm.
But then you think about what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's bringing everybody to terms, or making them come to terms with their sins.
And so you kind of get the idea, well, yes, he's sort of evil, but he's also, in a weird sort of way, a savior.
A weird sort of way, a savior, but he's a justice.
Yeah.
It's a style of justice. And there's a lot of symbolism in this movie. The lighthouse itself. You think it's the light in the storm, and it topples.
Yeah.
It's a show of his power, because he holds the storm right over this island.
Yes. And I believe, I can't remember if it's actually in the film or not, because this is a miniseries. If I remember right, it aired over 3 different nights.
It did.
And, which you can still get it on, like, DVD and stuff. I don't think they've released a Blu-ray, though. I don't think they have.
I don't think they have. I'd have to look that up.
But if you're lucky enough to actually have a copy of it, it's a totally great watch. Just hunker down with, your snacks and everything, and just beware for, a binge watch. Because this is a long one. But it doesn't feel long as you're watching it. That's the most important thing. Every bit of it is important to the story. And what I find also very interesting is that this is one of the rare King productions that didn't start out as a novel.
Yes.
So what happened was Stephen King wrote this screenplay, and they decided to make it into the miniseries, and then it went back and made into a book to be sold as advertisement for the film.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting that this one did not start out to be a book prior to anything.
Which, if you know something about, kind of Stephen King when he talks, and he talks about his dreams and things being his inspiration, dreams played a large part in this whole screenplay. It's kind of how the town figured out what Linoge was up to.
Yes.
And what he wanted.
And, I'm not going to spoil it here, but the last scene in the movie is the thing that still sticks with me.
Yes.
So, if for anything, make sure you watch it for the very last scene, because it's a good one.
It's a good one. Not only for what it is, but also the place that it's in.
Mm-hmm.
So.
We, if you haven't guessed, absolutely love this miniseries.
It's one of my favorites of King's. It's up there, quite a ways on my list with his stuff. It's just good. It makes you think.
Yes.
And I like a movie that not only do you get the aspects of horror and kind of that underlying fear, like that uncomfortable, but you sit there and it makes you think long after you've watched it, like what did it all come together and coalesce into? So,
comment down below with what your favorite Stephen King miniseries is.
We'd like to know.
And until next time.
Bye.